What's up, guys? So I'm here with another kind of easy install type of a thing. It's just going to be a little time consuming. So today what we're going to be installing is the East detailing steering wheel cover. So I've had this car for a few years. The leather on here is starting to get a little bit worn out. So instead of buying a $450 steering wheel, I went ahead and went for the steering wheel cover. So it's not exactly like the cheap one that you can get at AutoZone or whatever, throw on here for 10 bucks. This is one that's specifically made for this, and it's one that you're gonna have to stitch together, hence the time consuming part. One thing that I do want to bring up is while I really like the quality of the leather and the suede and everything that comes along with this, which it's customizable, you can have all sorts of different things, Alcantara, suede, all leather, whatnot. But it did take a month to get here, and they send you like a little packet with some stuff that you'll need, just like the double-sided tape, the actual like thread for it, the sewing needles, and then like this little plastic piece that you're going to be using to kind of tuck in the steering wheel underneath some of the parts. They were supposed to send other things to actually clip everything, essentially scissors, and so it took twice as long to get here as what they advertised, and they didn't even send me all the stuff they were supposed to have. So just want to point that out there. But the quality of everything looks really good, and its instructions, tells you how to kind of go about everything, step-by-step process, and it has like all of the sewing methods that you can do. Tells you how to start it, tells you how to end it, and all the in-between. So at least that's pretty nice. Everything looks good. What you'll want to do at first is you'll want to test fit the steering wheel. I already did that just to make sure that everything's all good. So I'm at the next part. Something that I recommend doing is getting some rubbing alcohol or something along those lines, and cleaning your steering wheel, because you know, the steering wheel is a few years old. It's going to have a lot of your oils from your hands and whatnot, just kind of dirty, and you're going to be applying like a 3M tape, a double-sided tape in there, and you're going to want to make sure that you have a clean surface for that adhesive to actually properly stick to, because you're going to want to make sure that you take your time and do this properly to get the best looking product and for it to last the longest that it can. So I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning the steering wheel with said alcohol and make sure that it's all good to go, and I'll catch you guys there. Alright, so I went through, I turned it inside out when I did this, and I put all the 3M tape all along the edges. I kind of did it like as best as I could and kind of what I thought would be necessary. They don't go into like super detail on like how much you need or don't need. I just had a lot of 3M tape, so I put on like what I could. I would recommend not taking off the backside yet until now that you have it on the actual steering wheel cover. You can put it back on and get it lined up. It's supposed to be pretty tight on purpose, so just kind of like yank on it too much. Just kind of do what you can and work your way on it, or work it on there slowly. And then if you have a 12 o'clock red stripe like I do on mine, you can probably honestly use that to help you. So once you get it pretty close, guys. So another thing from what I had seen is like a tip. Definitely not somebody who knits or threads or sews or any of that, but like a rule of thumb is for like the section that you're trying to thread is essentially you want to use 3 to 4 times the amount of the length that you're trying to go. So essentially what I did is I took this, I measured out the length, and then I just took one and I folded it over and over and over until I have about 4. So I did that 4 times. And you'll want to kind of snip the edge. Your handy dandy scissors. Hopefully you guys will have the actual provided scissors in your kit. I'm just using kitchen scissors, which are not very effective. So then you have your length, the excess kind of like over here. Obviously you'll want to get it through the needle. All right guys, so I am not very good at this, so I had my wife help me. Essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a knot, right? So that way it doesn't come through like that. And then from the instructions, this is going to be a little bit more difficult, but essentially through this first hole, it's kind of hard to see, come through. I ended up using my little thimble because, I'm being honest, it didn't actually feel all that great just on my finger. So then pull it through, keep it from getting all bundled up or whatnot. Right. And then the instructions say to go from the inside to the outside. And then they said again to go from the inside on this side to the outside on the other one. And then just to be clear as to where I actually poked it, it's that same first hole right there. And then you just go back through on the other side. I moved the steering wheel so that way I could actually kind of get to it a little bit better. But I'm gonna pull it through, and it kind of makes like a little loop, right? And you have that right there. So then once you have this, what you do is you're going to start going into all of the existing threads, which is right here, which my wife will correct me if I'm doing this wrong, but essentially you start the first one like that. And keep pulling it through. The instructions say to tuck in the leather and everything before you do this first part, but I'm not sure how you're going to be able to really get into all of this if you tuck that in first. So then I'm going through the next little created thread, pulling it through. Just like that. And then a tip I saw in another one is not to rely on yourself like pulling the threads through, and that closes the steering wheel per se, the cover, but to kind of like use your hand and kind of just like scrunch it together as you're going. Okay, so we've pretty much wrapped up the bottom side, and it's pretty difficult if I'm being completely honest, but threads, they're the stitching, I mean, it's pretty decent. It's looking pretty good. Like right around here there is a little bit of a gap, but I think that if you just really kept working at it, that you could probably get rid of that. But this, the way it looks, is fine for me, because holy moly, does this take a little while, especially if you don't really know what you're doing and it's like the first time you're doing this. So I would definitely make sure you set some time aside to get this done, especially if you want it done correctly and right. I have my wife here helping me. She did most of the stitching. That looks a lot better than the stuff that I did. The parts that I would kind of recommend is the bottom part. I wouldn't tuck until after you started on both sides and kind of got some space away, and then tuck this. And then on the opposite side, I would say like get like all the way up here maybe, and then tuck all this part in, and that kind of helps close the gap so there's not, you know, well, gaps in between there. And then up here I've left it kind of like untucked because we're gonna have to start and stop. So on one of these sides I'm gonna start over here and then go all the way around, and obviously stop on the other side, and then I'll finish tucking as I'm coming up to that. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty tedious to get it done correctly. It's not necessarily hard, it's just to do it correctly, it takes a long time. So I'm gonna keep going. My first impressions of it being like halfway installed, it looks pretty darn good. It is definitely a major upgrade. The materials feel really nice. It's not, even with it only halfway on, it's not going anywhere, it's not moving. So if you're worried about, like, you know, for whatever reason it moving as you're driving, that's not going to happen. But something to take into consideration while we were kind of messing with it, I didn't exactly line this part up perfectly. The stitching is a little bit farther back, so we were going to kind of like try to move it this way, and we noticed that the adhesive, the tape that was in there, was ripping huge chunks out of my steering wheel, the leather top. So if you ever go to remove this, your steering wheel is going to look pretty rough. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I plan on keeping this for a while, and if I gotta swap it out, I'm probably just gonna buy a whole new steering wheel at that point rather than another cover. But you know, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so here's the finished result. It's the next day. It's not because it took that long where I needed an extra day. It's just I live up here in Oregon, so it got super dark super quick, so the video just wasn't any good. But essentially at the end, I really liked how it turned out in the end. It did take a while. It took me realistically probably closer to like the 4-hour mark, and there's a few little things that I wish I could do a little bit better with, like the tucking. So a little bit that's kind of sticking out, but I'm gonna mess with that and see if I can make it a little bit better. But other than that, everything feels really, really nice. It wasn't that hard, it just took a really long time, and it feels like the material is super nice. It feels so much better. It looks so much better, and for how much I paid for it, it was like under $100. And essentially, to refurbish your steering wheel for that little of money, and to have it look as good as it does, just a little bit of own personal effort, I mean, that's pretty good. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I will say, like, overall, like, over time we'll kind of see how it does, but this is day number 2 with it. I mean, it's looking good, it's all holding up, everything's looking exactly like it should. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It feels super nice, it looks super nice, and for the cost, you can't really beat it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching the video. If you guys liked what you saw, please comment, like, subscribe. Really, any kind of feedback, positive, negative, doesn't really matter. Let me know how I did and what I could do to make the videos better, or tell me what you did like, and anything helps. Thanks guys, happy new year.